Hey guys, Moose here. We are back with another episode. Okay, let's try that one more time. Hey guys, Moose here. We are back with another episode of Stonehearth in our Rise Children playthrough. Superb intro. Could not have gone better. Anyway, we actually have a really interesting topic to discuss today. It is February 28th, last day of February this year. And let me check the year real quick. 2007, so 10 years ago today. Something, I think, telling and important happened, and that is that Alien Hominid came out on the Xbox Live Arcade. Now, I know it had come out on the PS2 and I think GameCube before then? I'm not sure, but it wasn't its first, like, first foray into... well, off of Newgrounds and into legit gaming. But I feel like, I mean, it's worth talking about because even if today is not really when it first did the thing that we're talking about it doing, it's still meaningful. And the reason it's meaningful is, if you don't know, Alien Hominid came out in 2002 on Newgrounds, which was like... I think it still exists, but not used much anymore. Or it's not. It's golden. Its heyday has passed. It's over the hill, let's say. So, Newgrounds was like a site where you'd go find Flash stuff and like Flash games, and you just play them. It was free. All of it was free. So Alien Hominid came out on Newgrounds. Lots of games came out on Newgrounds. Many of them were bad. Alien Hominid I never played, but I have been told that it is quite good. And considering the attention it got, I have no reason to disagree or dispute that. So think about the implication for a minute. You have this game starting out for free on a Flash game website. It's a Flash game. It's, you know, Flash isn't exactly the most impressive of mediums to develop for. Not that I'm taking anything away from the developer, which they don't need me to toot their horn because, believe me, they're legit, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But Flash is like not really what you'd expect for like a professionally developed game, right? Like you wouldn't expect it to be made on Flash. But Alien Hominid was. And I believe it wasn't like... I don't think the developer at the time was like a professional game developer. I think it was like, yeah, let's do this thing for fun. It'll be cool. And they did it. And it got some traction. And it got some more traction, and now it's coming out on different consoles and things. And to me, the reason why I want to talk about this and why I'm bringing it up and framing it this way is I kind of see this as the beginning of what we see these days, which is sort of this movement towards, or the, let's call it the indie game movement, where we've gotten an influx of these non-professionally made games. And they're many times, actually, yes, they are professional, but they're small studios doing their own thing, maybe self-published, going up on Steam or whatever. And I think this is maybe Alien Hominid coming out on Xbox Live Arcade is perhaps a symptom of gaming as an industry growing. And it's nice to look back and see that symptom and say like, hey, you know, this is... Back then, like, that was crazy that like, oh, this came from Newgrounds. What the hell? Why is it getting released on like serious consoles? It's not a serious game. It's just a stupid Flash game. Why would they do this? And then go back and look and you say, hey, I'm playing Stonehearth, that's an indie game. I'm doing a series on Darkest Dungeon, that's an indie game that got kickstarted. I don't think there's a single game on my channel that I've done other than... Let's think. No Man's Sky is one. What else have I done that's not indie? Like, there's, I mean, I may be using the term indie game, like, a little bit loosely, but I think it applies, honestly. So, we just have so many indie games, and they're usually not the $60 titles that come out, but Should they be? I don't think they should be. I think this is, it's great because now you have these options thanks to these games, whereas previously PC gaming was a little bit more like the console market, where you're just mainly looking at $60 titles, and that's, you know, you don't like it, tough shit. Wait for it to go on sale, except we control when it goes on sale very closely, so it's probably never going to. You know, you're not gonna see those sales, so it's tough. So at that point, you didn't really have the kind of freedom and variety that you do now. And it's a very different, I would say it's an extremely different environment where you can kind of go a little bit nuts, and you could say, hey, I'm gonna go spend $80 on Battlefield 1, which won't even get you all the content, which is fucking stupid, but that's a story for another time. Let's just say you go spend $80 on Battlefield, and it's a challenge to say, hey, Moose, go spend that same amount of money and see how much you can get. And it's pretty freaking nuts how much stuff you can get for that much money on Steam, on any particular platform. And you can just get so much these days, it's insane. Okay, I think they were spaced one off of the doorway here, so trying to line this up properly. That should be fine. And it's nuts, because you can really get a just stupid amount of value for your money with a market that just did not used to be this good at all. It just wasn't. I think it's objectively, that's the reality. And I think seeing Alien Hominid come up on these consoles and see success in these environments, I think is really indicative of the change that was occurring in the industry at the time. And I don't think it's just... It's easy to say, well, it was Steam. You know, the advent of Steam was really what did it. But I think that's giving them a little bit too much credit. I think digital distribution in general, which certainly Steam played a very big role in, but I don't think it's necessarily fair to give them all the credit for that. They definitely, like I said, played a role. They're important for it, for digital distribution and the ability to get a product to a customer at a very low cost, because you just pay bandwidth costs, and even that you don't really pay, you just let them take a cut of your sale. It's easy. It's very easy to do business like that, I think. And it made the barrier to entry so much lower for development costs that you could have developers like this. You could have these guys. I think I'm probably just going to do one Mason, one Potter. I don't think we need to have two. I'll move them over right now. It created an environment where you really didn't need this crazy amount of money just to get into the market. You could kind of just throw something together, and you could argue this is a negative as well, and that's fine. If you feel like it's a negative, I'm willing to entertain that argument, because there are, you know, asset flip games that's a pretty big complaint these days, and I get it. I understand that that's an issue. We need to pause. I see that issue. I understand it. I'm not saying there's no downside to this, but expanding the market in the way that digital distribution did created such a benefit, such an overwhelming, just insane benefit to gaming as a hobby and industry, that I couldn't care less. If asset flips are the worst that we have to deal with as a result of having games like Darkest Dungeon and Pit People, which, like I said, the guys who made Alien Hominid, they're legit developers, because you know what? They're making Pit People right now. I don't know if they started out as legit developers, but they sure as hell got there. Castle Crashers, Battle Block Theater, and now Pit People. They're for real, and they're pretty damn good too, so, you know, Newgrounds apparently launched their career, I guess. I don't know. I should read more about that. I want to know if they were legit developers that just did Alien Hominid for fun and put it up and it worked out for them, or if it was something more like it was a hobbyist and they did it and it was like, oh great, it worked. Yeah, I'm just curious how exactly it played out, because it's pretty cool either way, but it's just an amazing situation. To go from Newgrounds, of all places, which is just, it's nothing. Like, Newgrounds is, it's not a joke, but you're not making money there, I don't think. Maybe people were making money and I don't know about it, but it's not exactly where I would go if I was looking to put some extra money in my wallet. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see that we've come from the past where, like, making money was like a real serious industrial, like, you had to, there was so much that you had to do to make money, and now we're in this society where, thanks to the internet, it's much easier to do work and to connect. And, you know, I'm doing work right now by playing a video game with recording software on a PC that I built for nothing at all related to this. And yeah, I paid for a microphone to do this, but that's it. Everything else I already had and wanted for gaming anyway. So it's crazy that, and maybe this is just the internet in general, it's not even digital distribution specifically, but Alien Hominid is a symptom of how society has changed as a result of the internet and the accessibility of information and data. And it's awesome. It's just awesome, not just in like, oh, this is cool way, but like awesome as in awe-inspiring how much our world has changed, even just from the very narrow perspective of gaming as a hobby, as a result of something so simple. I mean, not simple, but obviously the internet's not simple, but you get what I mean, right? It's really, really fucking fantastic that we live in a world where some guy on his own can decide he wants to make a game in his spare time, make something like Stardew Valley, put it on Steam, and be a massive hit because he did really good work. And no one would have ever known that he would be a good game developer if he hadn't had the opportunity to distribute his game through Steam. Or something like Steam. Or even, he could have even just put it up on his website and people probably still would have gotten it. Because let's not forget, Minecraft was an indie game. Like, Minecraft was one guy making it for a long time, I think. And that was never on Steam. He put it up on his own site. And it was real fucking good. Hell, I picked it up. I mean, not obviously I picked it up. I did a series on Minecraft. But I picked up Minecraft, like, a long time ago. A very, very long time ago. Before, like, I don't want to be like, oh, I was into Minecraft before it was cool. But before it blew up out of control, I was playing that. I was seeing it back in the in-dev updates where there was no large world. It was just like, hey, you get an island and then it's got there is no bottom. It's just you, like, it's a floating island. If you dig too far down, you're just going to fall until you hit the bottom of the skybox, basically. And you die because you're out of bounds or whatever. And that was fantastic. I loved it. I bought it basically because it looked so cool and was such an entertaining prospect to have floating islands. It was awesome. I loved it. And I'd honestly, I'd almost, like, thinking about it now, I'd be more interested in going back to Minecraft if it was exclusively floating islands. And I kind of want to set up a game now that's just like a floating island server. And that speaks tons to, like, that's one guy's, initially at least, one guy's work. That's it. And honestly, to be blunt, a lot of the stuff they added to Minecraft was kind of inconsequential, I feel. Like enchanting tables and all that. Farming is cool, but everything else is like, you know, they didn't really do much to add to the game, I feel. They could have made that a much more interesting game by adding more content. But anyway, that's totally besides the point. It's just really amazing that we're at this point where, you know, a lot of us, I think, even I, take it for granted that we just have access to really, really awesome games that wouldn't exist if it was down to just like, hey, is EA, Konami, Sony, Square Enix, or Sega gonna make this? And the answer's no, because there's no way they're gonna fund Stonehearth or something like that. They're just not gonna. It's not gonna happen. Look at the games they come out with. And is it bad that we have like a billion games coming out all the time now? Maybe. Some of it's bad, but within that, we get more good games. And I think that's just, there's no question, that's a net positive no matter how you cut it. So, yeah, it's just, I'm just really, really happy that we're in this situation where, did I fuck that up? That's 100, yeah, 200. Okay, we can't do 200, we'll just do 20. It's just awesome that we have this opportunity to play all these games and see all this stuff. You have the internet, videos, all the different things that you can do. Just, I think it's easy for people to look at it and say like, oh, well, you guys are vapid. You're stupid. You're just watching videos all day. You're just playing games all day. You're rotting your brain. That's an easy way to look at it, but I think it's a lot more complex, and I think there's a lot to be said about it being a negative, probably. I understand there are negative consequences to that, but I can't help but feel, or hope anyway, that maybe the negative sides of it are just us, let's say, growing pains. We're getting used to it. And the negative consequences that I'm talking about are mainly things like our inability to distinguish real news from fake news. And maybe as people age, that'll be less of an issue, I'm not sure, but I don't know. It just, I'm really pumped that we get to live in a world with what we've got, because we are really in a very unique and lucky position where humanity is fundamentally changing in the way that we consume information, consume entertainment, content in general, and it's a little scary because of the fake stuff, and, you know, you're seeing a lot of talk about that these days. You know, with what, you know, all the stuff on Facebook. People getting really fucking mad at Facebook because they're allowing false information to spread easily. Because it is easier to spread misinformation than it is to spread truth, I think. Because you have the luxury of massaging reality to make it appetizing. So if you're lying to someone, it's easy to make the lie palatable. Whereas if you're not lying, you can't really do much with the truth. It's the truth. You just need to roll with it. So that's unfortunate. But I have to hope and try to believe that maybe that's just growing pains that we're going to deal with, and over time it'll be resolved enough that we don't have that problem anymore. But for now, it's a little scary. But still, just the same, I think this is still a improvement for humanity in general. Our ability to create and consume entertainment and information is unparalleled. And it's great. It's just really fantastic that we have the opportunity to expand. I mean, you could say... how would I relate this to the past? I would say before you could read books and everything, and that's great, and there was lots of books to read, but I guess that's more informational, less entertainment. So it's not necessarily a good comparison. I guess the information was less likely to be accurate, maybe, I guess. It's easier to lie in a book, probably, even though you can get shit on for that. But I think depending on how you do it, you could probably get away with it. But, like, one quote, I don't know who said it, but a good quote about bad information on the internet. The easiest way to get an answer to a question on the internet is to ask the question and then provide the wrong answer. And if you do that from 2 different accounts, people will trip over themselves to correct you. Which is hilarious. Like, that the best way to get information is to give a bad answer and say something that's wrong. That's just human society. Okay, let's try that again. I can't speak in this video for whatever reason. It's just awesome that it's human psychology and that we work that way. It's kind of hilarious in a stupid way, but it's funny just the same, I feel. So I think we have like a phantom pottery wheel. Very strange. Anyway, we'll resolve that here. Get another mason's bench. That's fine. we're getting there. We're consolidating our crafters, so things are going well here. But that is going to have to do it for today's episode. I apologize if I got a little bit preachy about how awesome the world is, but I just, you know, sometimes as terrible as things can be for an individual on a day-to-day basis, sometimes it's nice to step back and see, like, holy shit, humanity is fucking amazing. Like, look at all this stuff we've made and how advanced we've become and how many changes we've made in the last 10 years, even just, like, stepping from an industry such as gaming being completely controlled by major players to now at the point where certainly they have influence and they could shut down indie games if they needed to or wanted to, but generally we have a very, very broad experience base of well, okay, let me rephrase that differently. We have a very large number of different games that you can experience, and there's some really shitty ones in there, but there's some really good ones too, so overall, it was a positive, I think. We got more good stuff. But anyway, that is going to have to do it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll join us for the next one as well. Take care.